There sure is a lot of hype for a freaking rooster. Hey everybody, Leadspeed here, coming at you with another random DN thingy-mabobber. Yeah, thingy-mabobber, I tend to call it that a lot. I don't know, it's like commentary, but I talk sometimes about the game, but other times I just talk about random stuff that have nothing to do with the actual duel itself. But it's gonna change a little bit, but you know, I mainly wanna talk about this particular deck. As you'll notice, it's a little bit different from the last time I showed the deck in a video, and that was because, well, for one, the Xyz has gone on Dueling Network, and you know, I like recording on Dueling Network, even though people can be dumbasses sometimes and or just assholes, but I don't know, it's just how things are, man. You can't really, it's kind of out of my control and everything, so you just roll with it and hope for the best. But yeah, it looks a little bit different from the last one because, well, with Melia the Ashwood Nymph being on Dueling Network, it pretty much means that I could transfer the build I had on Dev Pro onto here, and you know, stuff like that. So as far as I'm concerned, I don't know if I kind of like this build a little bit better, just because, like, well, it is more explosive at times. Mainly because with the addition of cards like Junk Forward and Spell Striker in the deck, it allows for very fast special summons of level 3 Earth monsters for Melia the Ashwood Nymph. Now, I talked about this card in an earlier video with this deck back when I was like my first ever rough build of Talaya Plants, as it was back then. But yeah, by detaching material, she could send a plant to the graveyard from the deck, or she could special summon one from the graveyard in defense mode. Now, one of my favorite, well, a standard move like my build likes to do is, well, go special summon Junk Forward or Spell Striker, summon Lone Fire, activate his effect, get a Dandelion, make Melia with Dandelion and Spell Striker / Junk Forward, and then, you know, detach Dandelion, bring back Lone Fire, get 2 tokens, tribute a token for Talaya. So you can do that, or you can actually go for Shooting Star Dragon by simply, instead of tributing one of the fluff tokens, you tribute Melia, and then you get Spore from your deck, and then you tune Spore and one of the level 1 fluff tokens for 4 in the Synchron. You draw a card with the effect, and then you activate Spore's effect, banish Dandelion from the graveyard, special summon Spore from the graveyard to your side of the field, and its level goes up by 3, so it becomes level 4. Then you can tune it with Lone Fire and the last token to make Stardust Dragon, and then you can make Shooting Star Dragon. Wow, that was kind of a mouthful to say all at once, but that's pretty much those, like, I guess some of the more powerful plays in the deck. Now, obviously, the last build didn't have that Shooting Star Dragon play, just because, well, it's pretty much, it's kind of relying on Melia the Ashwood Nymph, although you can technically do it anyways if you had like Lone Fire Blossom and Monster Reborn or something like that. But when we're talking about just doing it first turn, it's definitely very nice to have that option, although I don't go for it as frequently. Now, if I have Spore in my deck or whatever, then obviously it's gonna be kind of annoying because you can't actually go for it because you want to summon Spore from your deck with Lone Fire, right? So, in that case, I would just go for Talaya and potentially get out 2 Talayas at the same time. But you know, it's it's just one of those things where, like, it's just weird how, like, the premise of this deck in general, I mean, when you think about it, it's like it becomes like probably one of the, well, I guess by definition it's pretty linear, but at the same time this build isn't as linear because now it actually has a few more ways to get to this, get to Talaya, and you can also make some other, you can also do some other cool plays, although these are generally the ones you want to make. And you know, since I'm talking about this kind of stuff, I guess I could talk about the new Flower Princess and Shadow Specters, since, you know, in the duel I actually summoned her to the field. Yeah, who'd have thought I'd actually do that, because drawing your Flower Princesses are usually pretty bad. But anyways, Melia the Princess of Sunflowers, she is a fire plant effect level 8. They're all level 8, all the plant boss monsters are level 8, except for Falling Angel Roses if she counts as boss monster, but all the Flower Princesses at level 8. or have 8 stars. It has 2800 attack, 1600 defense. Her effect is, if exactly one other plant type monster you control is destroyed by battle or by a card effect and sent to the graveyard, you can target one card your opponent controls. Destroy that target. This card must be face up on the field to activate and resolve this effect. Alright, so right off the bat, I will admit this, even though, like I'll admit this, she's not as good as Titania or even Talaya. Now, the reason I say even Talaya is because, in my opinion, Talaya is only really good if you can get 2 of them on the field. Now, I'm not saying it's bad to get 1 on the field, but the problem I see is that if you have just Talaya on the field, then, you know, they go like Dark Hole, she's gonna die. I mean, even if you have like other plant type monsters out, you kind of want to have something like Gigaplant out at the same time. So you want Talaya to protect your other plant boss monsters, like Gigaplant or something like that. Then you just proceed to do whatever you want to do. But yeah, in that respect, Talaya is a little bit weaker in that department as well. And plus, she has very low defense. But Melina, though, she covers a different area, and that's why I like her in this deck right now. Mainly because this deck is very combo oriented, and it's kind of a way to punish the opponent for trying to break my setup. If I summon Melina from my deck with Tree Spirit, or Melia Tree Spirit, or Melia the Ashwood Nymph, and Lonefire Blossom on the field, you can pretty much tell your opponent, hey, I dare you, I double dare you to attack my plant type monsters, because if you do, Melina's gonna blow up one of your cards. Probably the monster that attacked and stuff like that, or one of the back row. If we're more concerned about back row, she can blow up back row. Now, obviously, she does not have that, you know, protecting plants from being destroyed or anything like that. So she doesn't have that protection type effect. So she's a little bit different, and you know, that's cool and everything. But I only run 1, and honestly, the problem with running, like, I run 1 Titania, 2 Talaya, and one God, I forgot already, Melina, and then I run the 2 Gigaplants. See, you can already tell what the problem is right now, right? Yeah, if you draw, you can end up drawing multiples of them, like draw multiple Gigaplants, Talayas. Yeah, it's the worst. It's pretty much the worst feeling in the world if you open that badly, basically, and it's gonna happen. And it doesn't help that you only got 1 Lonefire, and you don't have an easy way to get to Lonefire either, because Sanguine's banned, so you can't do that. I have to run Violet Witch. While she's okay, she's weak in the fact that she has to be destroyed in battle, and it's kind of easy to play around sometimes. So it's a little bit more annoying, and sometimes you have to crash your Violet Witch to get a search, and you'll take unnecessary damage. Whereas if you had something like, heck, Sanguine or Botanical Girl could search out Lonefire, I would obviously be running that, just because she also synergizes with the rest of the deck, being a plant and stuff like that. But I don't know, it's just kind of weird, and I'll go more into, like, you know, combos and stuff like that when I do the deck profile. I'm thinking of doing one for this build, not particularly the one I was using before Melia the Ashwood Nymph came out, because, you know, back then no one was really playing plants like this. No one was really playing like Talaya Beatdown or whatever. No one was, actually one other person did, but I talked about that before in my first rough build or whatever. But I don't know, I do think that it's kind of interesting, the premise of getting out 2 Talayas and doing what I call the Talaya lock. That sounds weird, actually. Now that I'm saying it aloud, just freaking Talaya lock. Like, doesn't that sound weird, you guys? Like, for reals? Well, I don't know. I mean, I'm just weird in general, and so is this deck. Like, no one really plays it like this. In fact, the builds I've seen are like ones running Redox to Dragon Ruler Boulders and Crane. Now, I am running Crane just because it helps make Melia and helps me go for shooting Star Dragon sometimes, or I go for double Talaya sometimes. If I sack hard enough, I can get out like double Talaya and the Titanium, but you know, that's just how it is. So let me know what you guys think about this, and you know, I'll do a deck profile soon and whatnot, and I guess I'll talk to you guys later. So with that being said, peace out, guys.